welcome once again to Wisdom Readings, and this time, hey, in a different setting. I'm doing this from the office at my place of work, and yeah, I missed yesterday's Monday edition of Wisdom Readings as I was quite held up in some recording that I had to do. But yeah, I made time this morning so that I could actually catch up with everyone on wisdom readings and let the wisdom reading carry on. We can't hold it up for anything. We can't hold it up for our business. We can't hold it up for this is very, very essential in our lives. Big thank you to Bongi Sipo for Sunday's edition of Wisdom Readings, which was amazing. It highlighted, the importance of having a guru and what a Guru Maharaj is to you, and why it's very, very important to have a leader in your life when it comes to spirituality. And thanks to Savisachi as well with the Ask a Monk's edition, which was also the reading that came from the book Transcendence and what is the name? Transcendence, and can you write that on the chat? It has to do with transcendence. Forgot the name of the book. It's not Civilization and Transcendence. Civilization and Transcendence. Yes. Is it? Yeah. Okay. The chapter that we're going to be reading today is called Civilization and Transcendence. I mean, that's civilization is a regulation. Civilization and regulations, or civilization means regulation. Yes. And it's a very, very capturing what you call that topic that I think we have this conversation indirectly, with what our governments, with their interpretation of civilization, come up with regulations that actually bind us even further than what Maya is doing, So today's chapter is basically about that. Before we go into the chapter, we're going to do our invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, so we carry on with Civilization and Transcendence, the book that we have been reading, and it's quite a very, very great book, in terms of answering or addressing a lot of questions that a person that does not know anything or is not aware of what is happening when it comes to Krishna consciousness. And here Pusta Krishna is asking Srila Prabhupada, who is the Ashara, His Divine Grace of the ISKCON International Society for Krishna Consciousness, questions. And I like the way that and the angle that Pushta Krishna is actually taking, because he is like firing, quite a lot of questions that a person that does not know anything about Krishna consciousness would ask. So yes, we are carrying on, taking off where Bongisipo left off. So this is Civilization chapter 8. Civilizations means regulation, and the question comes from Pushta Krishna. May I ask the next question, Srila Prabhupada? fasting and other dietary regulations necessary for leading a spiritual life? That's a very important question, I think. Yeah. And Srila Prabhupada comes back and says, certainly, for advancement in spiritual life, such tapasya is essential. Tapasya means voluntarily accepting something which may be painful. For instance, we are recommending no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating. So those who are accustomed to these bad habits, for them, in the beginning, it may be a little difficult. But in spite of this difficulty, one has to do it. That is tapasya. To rise early in the morning, for those who are not practiced, it is a little painful. But one has to do it. So, according to the Vedic injunction, there are some tapasyas that must be done. Yeah. No matter how painful it is and difficult it is, with the type of work that I do, I sometimes work very, very long hours, and it's a huge struggle, sometimes to wake up in the morning, to actually do the japa session, and it's quite yeah, challenging, but one has to do it at the end of the day, regardless of the difficulty. It's one difficulty that is essential in life, and it also, you know helps one in spiritual advancement. The pain that you take, I'm sure that it's something that is noted by the spiritual masters and Krishna himself, that, my dear devotee is taking so much pain, to show me how much love, they have for me, Hare Krishna Narottam Das Ki Jai. So it is very, very essential that one takes a bit of pain, to actually advance spiritually. Yeah, back to the reading. Um, it must be done. Okay. It is not I may do it or not do it. These austerities must be done. For example, in the Mundaka Upanishad, it is ordered that if one wants to become self-realized, one must approach a spiritual master. Tat virgyan nartam sa gurum eva pikachet. So there is no question of optional. It must be done. And one must carry out the order of the spiritual master and the order of the Shastra or scripture. When you follow without consideration of whether it is convenient or inconvenient, simply because it must be done, that is called tapasya. Tapo divyam, like other great spiritual authorities, Rishabhadeva orders that this human life is meant for austerity, aimed towards realizing God. Therefore, in our Vedic civilization, we find so many rules and regulations. Rules and regulations, yes. Tapasya, it's something that you do without question, and I think it's very, very essential for spiritual advancement, and It's part of spiritual advancement. You know, at the very beginning of life, one must be a brahmachari. He must go to the spiritual master's place and act like a menial servant. If the spiritual master says, go and pick up some wood from the forest, one may be a king's son, but he cannot refuse the spiritual master's order. He must go. Even Krishna was ordered by his spiritual master to go and pick up some dry wood from the forest. So he had to go. Although his father was Nanda Maharaja, a village Vaishya king, and although Krishna was a personality of Godhead himself, still he could not refuse. He had to go. Nichavat, just like a menial servant. This is Brahmacharya, spiritual student life. This is tapasya. Tapasya is so essential that one has to do it. There is no question of an alternative. Wow. This is a very, very important um, uh, you know, realization that Krishna himself, acted as a brahmachari, yeah, and he also did what was essential for him to show us, in a way, of how a servant to the spiritual master should act. You know, um, I think it's something that we must pick up from. I mean, if the personality of Godhead Himself has come down, acted as a brahmacharya, acted as Lord Chaitanya, to give us examples, of how we can live or how we must live in devotional service and how we must perform right tapasya without question, to achieve realization. I mean, that goes a long way. You know, it just adds on to his omnipotency. You know, that he can actually do everything and anything, and he can be the example of what he wants at the end of the day, which is great. You know, and here Srila Prabhupada also gives an account of Krishna giving an example to all his devotees or all his children in the world. You know, it's not only his devotees that he's giving an example to. He's giving an example to everyone, and everyone must learn from that example. It's not specific to Krishna consciousness. It's it's specific to everyone because he's our Father who art in heaven. Yeah. So it's very, very important that we take this example. And that's the one thing that I've actually noticed and I've actually loved with Krishna conscious literature is that the literature gives so much more in terms of God consciousness, him, his presence, what he did, what he wants, what he said. And it's very, very difficult to get so much that, a Bhagavad Gita is Krishna talking, talking. He's just talking like chapter after chapter. It's just him talking about all sorts of, um, things that we go through on a daily basis. And um, and answers questions that you probably are asking yourself right now, about life, the life that we are living. You know, after brahmachari life, one may marry. This means he enters grihastha life, household life. That is also tapasya. He cannot have sex whenever he likes. No. The Shastras say you must have sex like this once a month, once in a month, and only for begetting children. So that is also tapasya. People do not follow any tapasya at the present moment, but human life is meant for tapasya. Regulative principles. Even in ordinary affairs, let us say you are driving your car on some urgent business and you see a red light. You have to stop. You cannot say, I have to be there in a few minutes. I must go. No, you must stop. That is tapasya. Tapasya rules and regulations. It's a very good example of the red robot. Sometimes I struggle to stop at a red robot when I'm in a rush. So yeah, it's very important that I follow tapasya. It will guide me to stop at the red robot when I need to stop. And regulation about grihasta life, you know, sex where sex is regulated. It's something that you cannot see on a regular basis, and hardly a lot of people talk about the tapasya that has to go with sex and married life. And here Prabhupada is giving us the lowdown, taking us into corners that we have never been in, and everybody just assumes that this is my freedom. I get married and I have freedom, to act like I want, have sex whenever I want to. Jeez. So, Prabhupada is like breaking it down right here. And like he said earlier, it's not about whether I want to do it or it's tapasya. If you want realization, this is where you must go. That's what you must do. So tapasya means following the regulative principles strictly according to their higher order. And that is human life. Yeah. Human life is for attaining a higher realization and going back to Godhead. And so this is basically, a clue as to how to attain that. And tapasya is definitely one of them, one of the ways of attaining that higher life and going back to Godhead. It's very important. It's amazing. Wow. Animal life, however, means you can do whatever you like. On the road, animals may keep to the right or keep to the left. It doesn't matter. Their irregularity is not taken as an offense because they are animals. But if a human does not follow the regulative principle, he is sinful. He'll be punished. Yes, he will be punished. Consider the same example. When there is a red light, if you do not stop, you'll be punished. But if a cat or dog transgresses, never mind the red light, I shall go. He's not punished. He's a cat, he's a dog. So tapasya is meant for the human being. He must do it. He at all, if he at all wants to make progress in life, it is essential. So there, I think that sentence just sums it up. You want me to read it again? So tapasya is meant for the human being. He must do it if he at all wants to make progress in life. It is essential. So the progress that we want to do, the progress that we're supposed to be talking about, this is it. And so, Srila Prabhupada, tapasya includes dietary regulations. That is also tapasya. For example, we prohibit meat eating. So in your country, this is a little troublesome. From the very beginning of life, a child is habituated to eating meat. That was me as well. The mother purchases powdered meat and mixes it with liquid and feeds it to the infant. I have seen it. So practically everyone has been brought up eating meat. Yet I say, don't eat meat. Therefore, that is troublesome. But if one is serious about becoming self-realized, one must accept the order. That is tapasya. Yeah. Well, there's a commandment, thou shalt not kill. You know, when I look at it, you know, it's holistically. It delves into meat eating. Thou shalt not kill. I mean, why kill? So if you kill and then you cook what you killed, that's even taking the sin that thou shalt not kill commandment even further. You know, that's the take, you know, to the whole thing. You know, I feel that you know, the thou shalt not kill commandment just sums it up and just boils down to even meat eating. You know, yeah. Tapasya applies to diet, to personal behavior, to dealing with others, and so on and so forth. In every aspect of life, there is tapasya. That is all described in the Bhagavad Gita. Mental tapasya, bodily tapasya, verbal tapasya, controlling vocal vegam, vacho vegam, controlling vacho vegam, the urge to talk loosely and whimsically. You cannot talk nonsense. If you talk, you must talk about Krishna. Yes, that's true. That is tapasya. There is also tapasya in connection with krodha vegam, the urge to express one's anger. If one becomes angry and wants to express it by beating someone or doing something very violent, tapasya will restrict him. No, don't do it. There is also tapasya with regards to the tongue, belly, and genitals. One cannot eat anything and everything or at any time he pleases. Nor can one have sex freely. But only according to the scriptural injunctions. I am sexually inclined, but I cannot do it. This is not the time. That is tapasya. Wow. Like tapasya is quite vast. It's a very, very, it's a concept. It's a big, big concept. Concept of life. Not easy, but essential. Yeah. So one should practice tapasya in every way, in body, mind, words, personal behavior, and dealing with others. That is human life. Tapo divyam. If you want to simply be a human being, and especially if you want to make progress in spiritual life, you must act according to the Shastric injunctions. That means tapasya. Before Brahma could take part in creation, he had to undergo tapasya. Is it not stated in the Shastras? Yes. So tapasya is essential. You cannot avoid it. And what is the aim of performing tapasya? The aim is to please the Supreme Lord through the spiritual master. Yashya Prashadat Bhagavat Prashado. One can attain the mercy of the Lord only by attaining the mercy of the spiritual master. This is the idea. Spiritual master, very, very important. Go back to Bongisipo. He goes into the guru relationship to the disciple and how important that relationship is and what that relationship is supposed to be prescribing for both the guru and the disciple. Yeah. So yes, this is one of the very, very main, it's like what gets you, the key that gets you into heaven. It's right here on earth. Spiritual master. Get a spiritual master, you're sorted. you, you are going in, my brother or my sister. Yeah, and this is a great idea. I think there's one class that His Grace Kadamba Kanana, I think is they were talking about it, and Savyasachi made a comment about how important it is for one to serve a spiritual master, and how important a spiritual master is in opening up your way into realization, and also opening up your way into the door of Krishna Loka, if I may put it that way, And there was also an account about, some disciples who saw Prabhupada, at their time of death, and them having a conversation with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada telling them that, I'll personally take you to heaven if you do this for me. And at their time of death, they see Prabhupada, and that was it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So spiritual master is very, very crucial. It takes you straight in. Now, in today's educational institution, who is teaching this tapasya? Where is the school or college? The students are even smoking in front of their teachers or with their teachers. And it is tolerated. No offense. True. What can you expect from such students? This is an animal civilization. This is not human civilization. No tapasya, no brahmachari life. Real civilization means tapo divyam, godly austerity. And this tapasya begins with brahmachari life, learning to control the senses. That is the beginning of life. Not A, B, C, D learning. And maybe your character is less than an animal's character, though you have a degree from the university. Never mind, you have become a learned man. No, that is not accepted. Yeah, tapasya is very important. There must be a college for that. Even from the standpoint of basic moral instruction, we must ask who today uh, the I think yeah the scripture disappeared. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean that is very very important. That a college must be must be something that that I think I should have said something about you know how the student and the teachers work together, and how that is animal civilization and it's not really human, and how human civilization should be godly austerity, and tapasya is like very very critical to this austerity, you know, and not this ABCD that we are learning, and then our character just doesn't differ that much from an animal's character. It's like, we see this all the time, you know, and sometimes we just, are even passive in calling it, when we see it. See it in our leaders, we see it you know, in our society. It's everywhere, you know. So yeah, austerities and tapasya and God consciousness. Even from the standpoint of basic moral instruction, we must ask who today is educated. The educated person is described by Chanyanka Pandita. Miter vat para daresu, para draviesu lostra vat. Atma vat sarva putesu, yaha pashyat sha pandita. The educated man sees another's wife as his mother and another's property as untouchable garbage. And he sees all others as equal to himself. That is the Pandita, the learned man. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also describes the Pandita. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Shva Pakacha Pandita Sama Darsina. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. That is a learned man, not this degree holder. A degree holder who has no tapasya and no character. Krishna says he is Mayaya Parharta Jana. His knowledge is stolen by illusion. Although he has learned so many things, nonetheless, Maya has taken away his knowledge. He is a rascal. He is an animal. This is the perspective of Vedic civilization. Wow. Mm. Yeah, now this is where Krishna is like also adding a little bit, man, to the description of a pandita, a pandita, one who sees, the soul, you know, in each and every living being, and to get to that level, tapasya is very, very important, in making you realize, the importance of God consciousness, God realization, God Himself, and what God wants and what God doesn't want. And I think through tapasya, that this is where you can actually draw the line or demarcate your life to God consciousness and be conscious of God. Tapasya is more like the demarcation that you put to one's life to protect yourself and to achieve what human life is supposed to achieve. There's a purpose for human life. I think Prabhupada goes through it like his whole life. He talks about the purpose for human life and why it's important to attain, heaven and attain Krishna, and use this life to attain Krishna. So I don't know if that was today's reading. Always enlivening hearing from you, oh brother Krishna. Yes. Hare Krishna, brother. Thank you, Narottam Prabhu. And yes, pass our greetings to our God brothers in Hamanskral. We will be there very soon. Very, very soon. Yeah, man, we're hearing all about all the good things that are happening in Hamanskral. Please follow Narottam Prabhu on Facebook, Narottam Das, and get to hear what is happening in Hamanskral, through His mercy, through Krishna's mercy, through His divine grace, His mercy, yeah, quite a lot is happening, and Hamanskral is about to be lit, with knowledge and enlightenment and real enlightenment. Bhagavad Gita is about to make its rounds there, and I'm sure it's gonna be different and it's gonna be lit. So thank you, Wusa, today. I think that's it, eh? That's the reading for chapter for today, and we are done. Tonight, please catch Nomusa Wengosi. She will be carrying on with chapter 9. And tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, tomorrow, yes, tomorrow. Yeah, I forgot that today is Tuesday. Whew. Tomorrow is going to be Tumeleng also carrying on, and hopefully she'll be reading chapter 10. And on Thursday, join us for Books Are the Basis Book Club, where we will be delving into Krishna book, and talking about all the pastimes of Krishna. It's very, very auspicious. Please join us every Thursday at 7 o'clock. All the way, all the way, all the way. Yes. Josie Star is asking questions. What's the question, Josie? Maybe I might be able to answer it. If I can't answer it, Saturday is Ask a Monk. And you can always ask the right person that will give you the right advice and guidance, you know. As for me, I am done today, and yeah, it's been a great wisdom readings. If you are wondering what this is, yes, this is wisdom readings. It takes place every day between 7 and 7:30, where we delve into transcendence, civilization, you know, God consciousness, higher thinking, definitely higher thinking. This is the best form of, you know, meditation that you can actually, you know, partake or consume, you know. I think this is one, yeah, knowledge that everyone must consume. Thank you for joining us today, and all those that joined us for the first time, welcome. Please join us every day between 7 and 7:30. Yeah. Till next week, Monday, I thank you and goodbye.
You are not this body you're living in. You're an eternal spirit soul, so where shall I begin? Every single living entity, including you, is immortal. Wait, hear me out, it's true, our bodies are changing every moment. We're more than just evolving, I mean every cell is changing. We're always reincarnating until every 7 years each cell is replaced. The old body has changed, so the question remains, who are you then? Like, where's the you? How can we feel it, touch it? And what can we do? You could ignore the concept and walk away like phew. Or are you really searching for the truth? Does your life have meaning, or are you trying to escape? It's hard to face yourself, I know it is, I feel your pain. To find out who we really are is too close to the bone. Wait, no, it's close to the soul. We're getting somewhere now. Whoa, who is this guy? Man, I knew he was crazy. When I clicked on the link and it came up on my page, I should have gone another way, think he's involved in a cult. And now he's trying to get me and he's going on about the soul. Actually, I am crazy in the eyes of most, but most people aren't open, they just don't want to know. The question I propose to you from me is, do we have the eyes to see? Where was I? Oh yeah, the soul. The soul is unborn and it never grows old. You can tell by the symptom of the way that we cry, just trying to deal with a limited life. Why is death so painful? Because we're not supposed to die. The spirit soul's eternal and we know it inside. It's like, why should I change my body again? That's the real meaning of human sense. If I'm eternal, none of this is my property, then why shouldn't I take my eternal body, my eternal existence? Why should I die? This is the beginning of a human life. This form of life is a special chance for us to get free from the laws of karma, material energy, a chance to be liberated from the hurt and stress of this continuous cycle of birth and death, a chance to realize your eternal blissful state and attain your original spiritual body one day. We have free will to make our own decisions and have to face the reactions to the way that we've been living in this material world. Sense enjoyment is temporary. We do it over and over and it never makes us happy. Not knowing our true nature, we're trying to enjoy through all this temporary stuff. It's never enough. We cage ourselves into this prison, numb our consciousness. Instead of meditating on our existence, we allow the media to condition us, so we shop and identify ourselves with these bodies that we're not. This ignorance causes dissatisfaction in the soul. We can't understand why we're not happy, and then we grow old. And if we're not careful, go cold. It's hard to turn back once your soul's been sold. If you don't know why you're here, just be honest, you don't. Maybe you can find out if you consider the soul.